Hi, and welcome to Beyond the Racing Line. This is Fan Frenzy. That's right, we're fans like you, like us. You guys get to direct the questions about Formula One to us and bring up the topics you want us to discuss. We're going to start, and I've caught Tris on the hop here. You're watching me currently trying to find the questions. I'm going to start with, remember we always go newest. I'm going to start with Dean Holt, and he gave it a 7.5 out of 10 race ranking. I was an 8. You were a 9. That's big. That 9 wasn't as unreasonable as your early in the year 9. But 7.5 out of 10. Best race so far. I agree. But it did feel like they spent at least 20 minutes saving tyres. I agree, but it was still a really interesting race in that situation. We didn't actually talk about it in the main body. There was a chance that the tyres were going to drop off.
Yeah.
That was a possibility at one point, and that added some extra interest. Then it was one of those points where you think, there's probably not going to happen, but it was certainly not out of the realms of possibility that tyres were going to start popping or that they were going to just drop off a cliff. And so, that also kept me really interested. 3 points to Norris. I'm with you. I thought Norris had a great race, solid race, and showed the McLaren has pace, just needs to sort out their aero for straight line speed. I'm not so sure about that part, but I thought he had a good race.
Yeah, I don't think he got pace.
Gasly, great job keeping in touch with Alonso for as long as he did. I agree, but I did give him that of the day.
You did?
And he's gone 3-2-3. 3 points to Piastri for picking up his first points, but it was very close on picking. But he's very close on picking Hamilton.
Yes.
The other day, I'm actually struggling for one, as all the accidents weren't really anyone's fault, and I don't think anything else happened that was a big negative. You could argue that the stewards at the end, but I'd rather them take a few more minutes. I'm with him on this. A few more minutes and get the right decision than rush it and get the wrong one. I do 100% agree. I think they took so long at the end because they were trying to find a different way of working out who made it through that corner and who didn't.
Yeah.
And that would take some time. So I think they knew they weren't going to get that race restarted, but I think they wanted to get everyone in the right order to do that running finish.
Yep.
And that would have taken some time. So, I'm 100% with you. Question. With a few talks about them changing the race weekend to perhaps 2 days, getting rid of 1 or 2 practice sessions, and also tweaking the qualifying as they have trying out something at Imola.
Yep.
If you didn't know, they are reducing the tyre allocation from 13 to 11 and then have to use hards in Q1, mediums in Q2 and softs in Q3. Yep. Do you think it's a good idea? And if you could change the format, what would you do?
Yes, I think it's a good idea. And I wouldn't change the format. I think just having hards for Q1s, mediums for Q2s, softs for Q3s. I don't mind that. I think it's fun. It takes away that advantage that like Red Bull might have, for example, where in Q2 they're going to run the medium, but all their competitors have to run a soft, which means really by the end of Q2 you kind of know who's on pole.
I think it's going to add an extra element. I don't want to see it everywhere, but some cars just don't behave with certain tyres.
Yeah.
And I think that could be really interesting sort of extra in there. I really like the idea of trialling for one race weekend with a sprint race, having the top 10 shootout.
Yep.
I would love to see it back, but I don't necessarily want to absolutely get rid of qualifying.
Fair enough.
My idea has been that we change some qualifying sessions to do that.
Yep.
This sort of gives me that. So I'm with it. Personally, he thinks that you should keep it how it is, but he wouldn't mind if they got rid of a practice session, making them use certain tyres in certain sessions, stops teams trying out something different. I think he's getting a little confused. He's thinking they're doing that in practice sessions.
Yeah.
Whereas that's happening in qualifying.
Yep.
And I don't want to see them being dictated to what they can do in practice sessions because they need those practice sessions to catch up on other teams. So I'm down with that. Paul Dodd's the next one. Have you got that one?
Yeah, Paul. So Paul has got ranking of 8.
Correct answer, Paul.
Yeah, 3 to Lando, 2 to Checo, and 1 to Lewis. His dud is the rules are being far too complicated. Shouldn't take that long to work out what will happen after a red flag, in particular last one, and the commentators and teams should know what will be happening. I guess board's a complicated sport, so you need complicated.
I honestly believe that it was them trying to work out where can we pick up an order after that restart, because it didn't seem right to go back to where that restart was from.
That's exactly right.
So I think that takes time. I'm going to give some credit on this.
Sure. And his question: if you were contestants on Lego Masters, which is Australia's great show, if you haven't seen it,
I think there's other ones.
Yep. Professional Lego builders building fun things. What would you build if you made the final? And if you got a blank canvas?
Have you seen the show?
Yes, I have. I love Lego Masters.
Never seen it.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Popular question, this one.
Yep.
I've never seen it.
So let's say, like, all right, so picture it as MasterChef.
I know how it works.
Instead of cooking a meal, you're building something out of Lego.
Yeah.
So what'd you build? I would build Senna's Sega Sonic the Hedgehog trophy.
Cool.
Greatest trophy of all time.
Could I build a Formula 1 car?
You could just build a Formula 1 car.
I just don't know enough about it. Okay. Do they get themes of what they're going to build?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, you get a theme.
Like what?
Yeah. Like Formula 1 would be a theme.
So Formula 1 would be a theme, so they have to come up with something.
So you have something related to Formula 1.
Do they make them where they move?
Yeah, and you can make things move, and you different scale, and you can have lights and all that kind of stuff. Whatever you want.
Now
if I gave you a massive box of 1,000 pieces of Lego, and I said, you have to build something Formula 1, what would you build?
I would build Alonso's crash into turn 3 in Australia.
Wow. Oh, upside down. I love that. Yes.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
Okay,
cool. I like that.
All right.
What about Mark going airborne at...
Oh, that'd be cool at Turkey.
Turkey.
Yeah, that's even better.
There you go. That's better. I got better ideas.
Yeah, popular question, though. That one
good job.
Got a bit of yeah. What do you call it?
Thinking?
No. Don't know.
Okay.
Trending. It was trending. Race ranking Firm 9. Oh, Firm 9.
Oh, Firm 9. Good, like that. Correct answer.
This is from Adam Hughes.
Yep.
Oscar doing a Weber. First points at home Grand Prix, and lots of action. Lots of action. Lots of passing.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
It's his
Oscar didn't really abide by the whole thing about Australians in Australia.
No, we said that prior to lights going out. Yeah.
Yeah. 2 points to the Hulk, outstanding all weekend. He did. I thought he did have a weekend.
Yep, fair.
1 point to Max. That's a good point. We don't give points to the person in the fastest car very regularly, though. It was still very
good.
Solid. Yep. Honourable mention to Gasly. Yeah, I agree. Would have got one, but the crash. Yep. And then he turned into the other day. Dart of the day. Here we go. Ted the Muppet. Hope he never comes back to Australia.
Whoa.
Holy moly. Typical hypocrite Pom whinging about 2021 and harassing Eve and bullying Massa in his own country, pushing the Sky Lewis F1 narrative. Then going after DR about looking sad and moping around on the pit wall. Completely unprofessional, has nothing but tabloid journalist. Sack Ted is what he's trying to get to trend. Hashtag.
Yep.
And if you think Massey should be there, I think he's meant to say should not be there, you are wrong. Take in point, Pat Simmons, Crashgate, banned for life from the pit lane and now back in FIA.
Yep.
Massey was never banned and still works for FIA. And that Muppet Ted is happy to talk as is Sky to Pat. Stinks. Okay?
Whoa.
Yeah, big. Answer. Last FF.
Yep.
Fan frenzy question.
Yep.
Yes, I do think Aston can bridge the gap, but bridge the gap being 0.8 of a second, but years end to Red Bull.
Interesting. Just on the dud, I have listened to Ted's comments around Michael Massey. They're not awful.
Do you think? I thought they were really strong.
Oh, no, not at all. I thought the opposite. From the uproar from fans and what I've seen on social media. And
I told you it was going to blow up.
It was huge. And then I actually listened to what he said, and it was literally along the lines of, "What's he doing in here?" It was, I don't know. Now that I've heard it.
No, see, I thought it was like he does not belong in this paddock. He can't come in our paddock.
No,
I come from so many different angles on this one. I'm with Adam that he should be allowed in the paddock. and you were against that when we first talked about it.
Yep.
But I'm also like, I can understand why people are still grumpy at him.
Yep.
But it's not like they should ban him from it all. I actually think Ted was being really genuine to Ricciardo.
Yeah.
I can't see the anger. I saw so much clickbait around the anger of it. No way. Ted was saying how upset he was to see Ricciardo on a pit wall.
Yeah.
And that he wants to see him in a car. And Ricciardo absolutely took it that way.
Yep.
He saw exactly what Ted was doing.
He's probably thinking, I agree with you.
So, no, it was a genuine, kind-hearted nature conversation with Ricciardo. Yes, he waited it out for him for a long time, but he knows that Ricciardo gives really good content to him.
Yep.
But, I thought it was really genuine and really heartfelt. And it was a good conversation.
And I didn't really hear anything about Lewis either when it came to talking about Michael Masi either. Like, Lewis's name wasn't mentioned.
No.
I think he just mentioned that, like, he's been up and down saying g'day to people, but not at Mercedes, which is understandable.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't think, after I saw it yesterday, that Ted's comments were sort of negative or derogatory or anything like that. It was just... what's he doing in there?
He's got a question there. Dead-end pathways. He goes, stay with me. This will be good.
All right.
All the weekend showed is that Australia has no local pathways to F1 and that MA, Motorsport Australia, has it wrong at all levels. Pandering to supercar... super crap for decades with the death of F4 here... to bring in the junk of S5000, he's in form at the moment.
I tell you what,
with zero world relevance, dead end pathway, and 7+ seconds slower than F3s, and the complete dead end of super crap, which was an embarrassment all weekend. I do tend to agree with that one a little bit. This was shown a clear set of this was shown a clear set of heels by this awesome show of F3 and F2. F3 and F2 was unreal. I agree with you on that.
Electric.
I don't know where the rest of it. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure where you think Australian racing should be at. But Supercar Australia put on a pretty good series that hooks in lots of people. Dead end pathway, possibly. It doesn't really promote young drivers into going on further.
Yep.
But I don't really think there's anywhere else in the world other than Europe that's doing that. So I'm not entirely sure what you're looking for. I'm interested. What do you think? So, this is it. So should F1, F3 and F2 be a full-time addition to the Australian Grand Prix? Yes, from me. Absolutely yes.
Yeah.
But that doesn't fix the problem.
No.
That doesn't do anything to fix any of the other things. I'm interested. What do you think we should see, Adam? What should we see to fix this problem with having a category moving into F3?
Yeah, I disagree with you, Adam, with everything that you're saying this week. Literally everything, because Formula One is a global motorsport, and the teams are based in Europe, and all of the feeder series need to come out of Europe because that's primarily where it's based. So in terms of Australia, we don't require a feeder series because we are not the pathway into Formula One.
Into Europe.
Europe is. So that is what you do there. Like, if you want to have a race with supercars, that is absolutely fine. But supercars are standalone.
Yep.
It's the same as British touring car racing. If you want to race British touring car, go for it. America, for example, Logan Sargent's in F1. His pathway isn't IndyCar because IndyCar isn't a recognised pathway into F1 or with super license points categories. So no, the requirement for every country to have a pathway into F1, A, shouldn't exist, B, it doesn't need to exist, and it won't exist because European is where it is. That's where the category is. Same if you want to go play NFL football in America, you can play a little bit of a gridiron in here, but Australia is not the pathway into NFL. America is the pathway into NFL.
I'm interested. What's your idea? I want to know what the idea is, Adam, because it's one thing to have the complaint, but
come with a solution.
We have plenty of complaints, but I usually come with a solution.
Yeah,
so I want to know what the solution is. And we know Adam races, and he's a racer, and so he will be well informed to give us a solution on this one.
S5000, Formula Ford in Australia are just opportunities.
They're just racing
for categories to have a go at open wheelers.
Yep.
Like, you don't win Formula Ford or S5000 and go and find your way into F1.
If you're serious about making F1, you need to be in Europe by the time you're late teens.
That's exactly right.
And that's where it needs to sort of be.
The exception to that sport is basketball.
Yep.
Because every country, like basketball doesn't change. It's just basketball is basketball.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter what country you play basketball, the version of that sport is the same in Australia.
Same deal, though. Very few players come out of our NBL to go and play NBA.
But the sport doesn't change.
They go over and play college basketball, which is the same deal.
And S5000 is a different formula. It's a different car, it's a different category, so therefore the sport itself is, in essence, changes. So, sorry, Adam.
Matthew Addis.
Such a great weekend. Is flat. Real flat. But
he's right. He's right about one thing. F2 and F3 was unbelievable.
Yeah,
I was excited to see him. I wasn't expecting to get so much enjoyment out of that pure racing category.
Yeah,
great. Matthew Addis, go for it.
Matthew Addis, race ranking of 8, 3 points to Alonso, 2 to Checo, 1 point to McLaren for both finishing in the points. Don't agree with that, Matthew. Date of the day, race control, more decisive and knowledgeable outcomes are required. Alonso knew exactly what precedent and when. As soon as it happened, race control should have been able to act on contingency plans for different scenarios and adapt accordingly. Of course, Alonso knows that because A, he's incredibly smart, but B, he doesn't need to make the decision. He is just advocating for that decision.
For the one that suits him.
Absolutely, and it did, and it was the right call. Question, has Albert Park been made better by the recent track changes? If not, then why? Yes, Matthew, it has.
It is unreal.
And it's unreal, and it has been better, and I hope that we keep them.
Tell me, does anyone really miss the corners they removed and around the back?
Can't even remember what they were.
There was that little chicane thing that happened around the back.
Nah, didn't need it.
And I used to stand there and watch there.
Unnecessary. Yeah, it was a great spot to watch.
But it doesn't fix... it is so much better. Yep. It is so much better. I'd still love to see them go a little bit further in that back straight.
Sure.
Into a bit more of a hairpin.
Yep.
But apart from that, I could not fault it. We met at Matthew on the weekend and it was wonderful.
Awesome.
Absolutely wonderful. Page, race ranking of 7. Perez, 3 points for Perez. He got drive of the day, didn't he?
He did.
Ridiculous. Science, 2 points. Gasly, 3 points. 1 point, sorry. It's an interesting selection.
Yeah, interesting.
Date of the day, COVID for ruining my race weekend.
Didn't even know it existed, Paige.
I'm sorry, that is horrible. Which days did you miss out on in the end?
Yeah, we didn't miss any on here.
Her wonderful, so as everyone knows, Paige and Sam have been on an episode before, and her wonderful partner, Sam, got stung by a good April Fool's on the weekend, and he actually deserves a Date of the Day mention because he copped this long message about all this stuff about Lewis and having cars shipped to Abu Dhabi for the finale.
Yes, that's right, he sent about that.
And he sent it to me, and he must have read it for a little while and thought about it, but anyway, he sent it to me, and then not long after he goes, it's April Fool's.
That's where you got to know where to get your news from, Sam.
Question. What if you got to follow a team for the weekend, which team would you follow?
What team do I follow around?
Like if you're in amongst a team, let's pretend you're in amongst a team. You get to see drivers' meetings. You get to see in the pits. You get to see how everything happens for the weekend. You arrive on the plane with everything.
I think Ferrari.
Why?
I just would like to know. We're always very critical of what they're doing behind the pit wall and what's going on. So I'd just like to have a bit of a first-hand glimpse as to exactly what is going on.
Do you think there'll be too much Italian for you to understand what was going on?
Probably. I wouldn't understand a single word of Italian, but I'd be there. I could infer through body language and like the tone of voice. Like if you're yelling in Italian, you're still yelling.
Honestly, and I've really talked them up this weekend, and we've been down on them the last couple of weeks. McLaren could not be a friendlier team to be near. And so, absolutely, McLaren, but I have a huge amount of interest in what Aston Martin's doing. So, in terms of feeling like I'm amongst really great people, I'd want to be with McLaren, and that goes across the board. Last year, Andreas Seidel would come in, and I'd be in the hospitality after watching the race, and he'd come in, he'd give me a fist pump and say, "What do you think of the session?" Honest to God, he would come in and he'd ask what I thought of the session as he was coming through. He'd ask some other people as well. And that I thought, he's a nice guy. He is such a good guy. But it's across the board. They invite you in. Zach Brown's really approachable. They'd be them. But I'm really intrigued about what's going on with Aston Martin at the moment. They seem to be on a good thing. Sam's question.
Sam, 3 points to Hamilton. Didn't get on the podium with luck, but maybe there's redemption for the Silver Arrows. 2 to Norris. Great job getting the McLaren to perform. 1 point to Albon for Saturday's surge in qualifying. I know your race didn't go well, mate, but hell, you put on one hell of a show in Australia. The other day, the colour red. Ferrari having a meltdown of a weekend and the constant red flags, not in just F1, F2, F3 and V8 supercars. I cannot remember seeing a lot of red flags in the other categories, to be quite honest, Sam, so I'm not sure.
We didn't watch a lot of supercars.
Whether you're right, no, but we watched a lot of F2 and F3, and I can't pick a red flag. Hero of the hour, Alpine, for helping Alfa Romeo on the third restart after their generators cracked it. Good to see the Odyssey spirit on display for teams. Yes, totally agree.
Good pick up.
Race ranking, a confused 7. That confuses me too, Sam, because if I was scoring 7 out of 10, I would think I'd be doing pretty well. Defining moments of drama and overtaking action, but then the rambling over rules and then Sainz surprise 5-second penalty. Surprise 5-second penalty. False. Correct 5-second penalty. And a rolling start was not great.
I'll talk to you around on that 5-second penalty.
No. Correct 5-second penalty. Not a surprise. Rolling start, perfectly fine because it's at their discretion as to whether it's standing start or rolling start.
They had a crack at getting that race started under racing conditions.
Yep, which is fine.
They gave it a really red-hot go by doing it, and it was really exciting, and then they ran out of time to do it again. I thought they nailed it.
Why are our fans so grumpy tonight?
Yeah, I don't know. Question.
Jeebus, question. In order for fans to start taking notice in the next gen of F1 drivers, would you sign up F2 Fantasy, at least to get you further engaged in the series? Yes, don't mind it. Love the anti-lag on the cars, and it makes them spit fireballs. Totally agree. Yeah, I think I often sometimes just sort of dabble in F2 to see what's going on, but after physically watching them on a race weekend, I'm probably a little bit more invested now. However, it's very different on television than when you are in there. So,
absolutely no interest in doing a fantasy F2. None whatsoever, but I loved F2.
Yeah, I loved
F2.
Yeah, maybe that's something F1 needs to do.
Yeah, I struggle to remember to change my team in F1.
That's fair enough.
Simons, 3 points to Lando, great result. 2 to Zhou, been solid for Alpha this season.
Yeah, 3 races
one to Mercedes, gave us and a bet belief. Is it a bet? A belief, but genuine fight for the front in both cars. Hero of the hour was Valtteri for going full Aussie on Thursday.
Yes, that's fair.
What a guy.
Yep.
What a guy. Dud of the day, Mercedes. Hang on.
That makes no sense. He gave them a point, Simon.
They're the team I support, but I really don't understand them right now. The car actually seems decent, yet it's terrible. The management of the situation is just really bizarre.
I find Mercedes to be quite easy to understand because their car isn't decent because they're not winning. It's the 4th fastest car.
Question. Gravel Traps gave us some beautiful punishment for drivers that overdid it this weekend. What other... Well, they sort of got punished, but they didn't in the end because it all got thrown out. Yeah. What other corners in F1 would you think would benefit from them the most? The first corner at Interlagos would be an interesting one for me, and I agree.
Couldn't think of it. Really?
Yeah, great spot.
Couldn't think of a worse place to put a gravel trap than Interlagos. You are punished in turn 1 at Interlagos without gravel trap. It's downhill. It's left-hand, 45-degree banking.
We've seen...
By the time that you've swept out of turn 2, you go on an DRS.
We've seen drivers run wide in that very corner.
Yeah, no, you are plenty punished in Interlagos. I wouldn't want to see gravel trap.
Didn't we see Lewis doing Max do an overtaking move? Try an overtaking move for running wide?
Not through turn 1.
Oh, okay.
No, it would have been down through turn 1. I'm just thinking 1, 2, 3.
No, it has to be turn 1. There's nowhere else to do it.
No, turn 1. No, it was turn 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
For me, there would be some really good spots. I think in Abu Dhabi. We could
every corner in Abu Dhabi.
We could put it in Abu Dhabi. I mean, the French Grand Prix would be saved if they decided to put some gravel traps in instead of all that paint.
Yeah, fair.
Where else could we put it? Where else are the places where Lewis and Max sort of use the extra track to go around each other? America?
I was going to say Red Bull Ring.
America? What about the first corner?
There is some there.
The outside of the first corner at America?
First one at Circuit of the Americas.
That would be good.
So
they go up the hill and then cars tend to skip through that corner, so I think that'd be a good spot.
Geez, you'd have to run mighty wide to catch gravel out there.
No, because they go the inside, and then, it's probably more turn 2, because as they're coming around that corner...
So 1 is that real sharp hairpin up through.
Yep, so I think there's probably some spots through there.
Yeah, I have no idea.
All sorts of places. gravel everywhere.
Paul Cook, ranking of 8, 3 to Lewis, 2 to Oscar, 1 to Checo. Dud. Paul Dodd nailed it. The F1 should automatically know the rules, and so should the commentators. Maybe we didn't pick up on this because we were there and we weren't watching the broadcast this weekend. Maybe it's us.
Well, I did say to you, I wanted to watch the coverage to see how long these pauses took.
You went to do that.
And then I did that and put my hand up. I actually got distracted and started doing some jobs and then didn't really pay attention to how long it took.
Yeah. I kept on talking about fading light being an issue, but even then, have a policy, write it down. They have a 4-hour window that shouldn't have light impact. Paul being there and standing on pit lane, light didn't impact at all whatsoever. Like, the sun went down. I'll put up a photo of what I was looking at towards the end of the race. I'll chuck it up on our socials shortly. But I might even send it to you, Paul. It didn't impact anything at all.
I'm confused. Well, how did light play a factor?
Well, it didn't. That's what I'm saying. It didn't.
But I'm wondering how he felt it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not quite sure, because it was quite like, again, it could have been the broadcast because we didn't see.
It was the lack of laps, which meant that they had to get a move on.
And see, being there, for me, it felt like 5 minutes. Anyway.
It certainly wasn't. Yeah. It was a while.
Yeah. Question. Did you see Will Buxton? Yes. And ask him whatever happened to the idea to get kids more involved. Did you ask him that?
I felt like he was less available this year, and it might have just been where we were, but I saw him at times, but no, he was... You can tell when reporters and presenters are on a mission to get to somewhere, and every time I saw him, maybe it was just because he saw me, I was like, oh, not this guy again, I need to get on my mission. But yeah, no, he sort of wasn't just hanging about. And so, which is what happened last time.
You're talking to Tom Clarkson while you're getting a coffee.
I did, I talked to Tom Clarkson about some interview techniques and questioning techniques. And I asked a question and he goes, I thought it was a really interesting question to ask.
Yeah, so, cool. Last question, most starstruck moment. I kind of feel like I don't really get starstruck anymore, to be quite honest. In the first year, it was everybody, everywhere, at all times.
Let me put it into this perspective.
Okay, all right.
This was a moment where one of my favourite things to do is just sit and people watch, and we talked about that.
Yep.
At 1:21 on Sunday.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
I could see these people at this one moment, and they were all within probably 30 metres of me.
Okay, go.
Jenson Button.
Yep.
Naomi Shifter.
Yep.
Christian Horner.
Yep.
Simon Lazenby.
Yep.
Lots of celebrities I didn't know, but I knew they were celebrities.
Yeah.
Because they were kicking around.
Just the way they were.
The Channel 10 crew were presenting at that very moment within the 30 metres of me.
Yep.
Dan was there.
Yep.
And Jackie Stewart was running a tour.
Yeah, Jackie always does
was coming towards me.
Yep.
And so you do get a little complacent when you have all of that happening around you. Like, Jenson Button would have been sitting 2-3 metres from me for a good 30 minutes.
Yep.
And when I see a world champion, I do get a little flutter. Like Damien Hill, and we saw plenty of Damien Hill.
Yeah,
because he was floating around. Saw quite a bit of Jenson Button. Did you get his autograph in the end?
No, I wanted it, but he left. Yeah,
but yeah, Jenson Button, he's a real favourite of mine.
Yeah.
But then, apart from that, any time, like, you could sort of feel things change when Lewis was around.
Mm.
And it's not like I'm an absolute fan of Lewis. I'm sort of on and off him all the time, as everyone would know.
Yep.
But there's a real aura around Lewis.
Yeah.
Because he's so hard to get any time with.
Yeah.
And then, apart from that, Alonso sort of brings that giddiness to me. Because he's got that, I don't know, he's that mythical creature, Alonso, isn't he?
Yeah. And
then Dan, being in there with people, every time I saw Dan, I got a little flutter, because he just lights up a room in the same way.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I get starstruck anymore. Like, it's just, I remember the first year we were there and I saw Kimi and I was like, wait, Kimi is sitting next to me. Yep. Like, what is this? But yet, if I think about, gosh, Alonso walked out past me like 3 times, but yet I'd already seen him every day for that weekend. I'd already had his autograph. I'd already stood really close near the garage where he was, and then he left and he walked straight by me while he left, and being that he's my absolute idol in the world, I was like, there he goes.
It's
different now.
There's something different about him, though. Like, he's not just everybody else.
No.
There is something different.
And we see other drivers too. Like, Ocon walked past me 10 times across the race weekend. Didn't think anything of it.
Yep.
But I can understand the really privileged position that we're in.
The first year.
First year. If I was out on the concourse and, out on the Melbourne Walk,
thing that we get to
it's
do.
a different
experience.
Thing.
We pinch ourselves every time we get to go and do it. And it is like, I feel like it's not going to last forever.
No.
And I will be gutted when it finishes. But it is something that I will hold on to these memories for a very long time. It is really cool.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Paul, for finishing on a positive note.
I liked it.
I feel like our fans are very, very down.
It's very Adam.
Very down.
Adam brought us down, but it's okay. But yeah, no, we'll move on, and we do enjoy it. I'm really interested, Adam. I'm really interested. What's the fix you propose?
Yep.
It's got me thinking. You've sparked my imagination in terms of what do we need to do. But that's an episode for another time. Thank you very much for joining us. We will be back before the next race with some Formula One content. I've got a few things I would like to have a chat about. And then there's that wonderful thing called F1.5, which we need to launch. So we'll be doing that at some point. But yeah, until then, enjoy your racing or whatever else you're doing in the meantime. And we'll talk to you again soon. Goodbye now.